Let's talk about university education for a bit. But before that, City, just remind us. The day's proverb for the third week in a row. Is it third or fourth?
1, 2, 3. This is a
fourth week in a row.
This is going to be the final proverb from the countries in Africa that are landlocked. The following week, we'll be looking at countries in Africa that border oceans.
Okay.
Oceans.
Okay.
The palm tree that encourages birds to nest in its should not cry over shattered leaves.
The palm tree that encourages birds to nest in it should not cry over shattered leaves.
Yes.
We'll have guests in the next 2 hours. We will ask them about it. So for this guest, we wanted to have a health conversation on this particular issue of what's happening in the country with mpox and all. Wamesema watakuja siku ingine. Kesho namna hii ama Friday namna hii, wacha tuone.
Hakuna shida.
But for now, let's talk about this big issue that's happening. Universities. The Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms goes around the country, gathers information from everybody, opinions, prepares a report, takes it to the president, and the president says, okay, yes, you know, what we're talking about is how to get universities out of the doldrums. So, you know, because universities have been in the doldrums. Why? No money. Why is there no money in the university? Can't raise money. Why can't they raise money? You see, a lot of the money from universities comes through government. Okay?
Yes.
And the government was supposed to be paying for every course. The government is supposed to be paying around, is it 80% or thereabouts?
Yes, it's 80.
All right?
It has been 80. Yes.
Differentiated unit costs.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. And then the rest of the money comes from the student.
Yes.
And now the student, student can apply for HELB loan. Basically the HELB loan helps to bridge the gap.
Yes.
Now the government has not been able to hit that high percentage.
No, it hasn't, and that it hasn't for quite some time.
For a number of years, the government has just been able to afford less than 50%, 40%, 25% in some cases.
Which means there is a bill that has been accruing
all these years.
Yes.
For offering the various degree courses.
Yes.
Now that has led to universities having this problem. So what is the solution that the Working Party comes up with? And the other stakeholders, they say, let's rejig the funding model for universities. Let us say that there will be 3 ways in which school fees shall be paid. One is there'll be scholarship, and this is now the taxpayer-funded university. Okay? There'll be a scholarship. The second is that there'll be the loan, the student loan. And the third one is out of pocket. So, now, sounds the same way that it has been done before. Okay, now the difference here is not all students deserve the same amount of scholarship, because not all students have the same need.
Yes.
So we look at them from need basis. Those that are extremely needy will get a higher amount of scholarship. A higher amount of scholarship. Student loan will be the same. And then now you end up paying less from out of pocket. Senor, those that are deemed to be able will get a less amount of scholarship from the government, same percentage of HELB, which means that out of pocket will be higher. Senor, depending on the course that you take. Now, universities sat together and they costed their courses. They said, for example, the most expensive courses are the medical courses. And then
the engineering
sciences and such. And then the BAs will be the least costly courses. Senor. Higher. Now, students who did KCSE last year are applying to join university this year. The new funding structure is in place. So what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to apply for scholarship. The scholarship comes from the university's fund. This is a different entity. Then they apply for HELB loan. HELB loan comes from a different entity called HELB. And then out of pocket is ongelesha mzazi fanya harambe, you get money, it's you paying.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Initially there was a confusion because universities then were giving students the entire fee structure. Umekuja kufanya medicine. Hiyo yako ina cost 200 and 600 per year.
490,940.
That's
a
why.
medical course, yes.
Medical course. 490,000.
Yes.
For?
That is even band 5.
Yes. Higher.
But he's expected now to pay 257,000.
But now, so the university was giving you the entire 400 school fees. So you go find out whether you'll get scholarship, you'll get
which means you also need to consider the categorization you fall under.
Yes. Because of all the pushback, especially from students, the president was like, wait, but why are universities confusing people? Universities, what you need to do is give students the band that will come from domestic. That is the fee structure you give to students. If you are studying, come here for medicine, these are the 5 bands. If you fall in this band, this is how much we expect to pay. If you fall in this band, this is how much you expect to pay. If you fall in this band, don't give us the other help and the others. Because help, you'll get 30%, right? Scholarship, you'll get depending on where you categorized. Still, there are issues.
Yes.
For example, this story in The Nation today. When Suhail Mukala Mumba scored a mean grade of A- in the 2023 KCSE, he was overjoyed. Although he had expected to score a straight A, nevertheless, he was content with a grade that enabled him qualify for university admission, as that would open up opportunities for him in the future to uplift his family. The Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Services KUSPS placed the 2023 top student at Kwale Boys High School at Egerton University in Nakuru to study medicine and surgery. Many other students would be overjoyed by such prospects, but for Mumba, there's a problem. The hope for him to pursue his dream career is turning into a nightmare. Why? After applying for government funding through the new model introduced last year, he was categorized in Band 5. Band 5 means yeye akona pesa. In fact,
Band 5 wewe katika hii categorization the only person who will pay more than him is those in Band 4 and 3. Hii pesa ni mingi sana. Pesa iko otas. Pesa mingi. In fact, no, Band 5 is the one that you are paying the you pay. So this is how it placed him in Band 5. After applying for government funding through the new model, he was placed in Band 5, which comprises students who receive the least support. Yes.
These are the ones who are deemed to be most able. Okay? The total cost of the program is 490,000 per year. And since Mumba is in Band 5, he is now expected to pay 257,000 per year, or 128,500 in tuition fees. He says, I don't know what will happen. My parents do menial jobs. I don't know what the future holds for me. So his parents do menial jobs, but he's been categorized as very, very able. Students who are categorized in Band 5 are from families with an income of 120,000 shillings and above. Mumba's families, the parents do menial jobs.
Menial jobs means you're paid per day.
It's been considered that the parents have an combined income of about 120 and above. The funding model splits universities' fees into government scholarships, which are awarded by the University Fund, tuition and upkeep offered by the Higher Education Loans Board. The amount a student receives that's calculated as a percentage depends on the level of a means testing instrument that has received criticism. Mumba is the firstborn in a family of 6 children, said he remains hopeful that he will get assistance to realize his childhood dream. In the primary school national exams, he scored 389 out of 500 to emerge top in his school. Thereafter, the county government sponsored his education in secondary school. It's clear he's in Kwale. These are the ones, the bright kids in Kwale who Salim Vuria was saying. Bright kids in Kwale, you have qualified for national school.
You will go to university.
County government is supporting.
Yes.
So he says, this misclassification has left my family in a precarious situation as they now face the daunting task of securing funds to cover my tuition and other university expenses. Mumba's case mirrors that of thousands of other students who've complained that HELB and the university's fund have wrongly categorized them, thereby putting university education out of reach. The students, their families and other stakeholders are complaining about the model and they are calling for its review. According to official data, 113,105 funding applications have been processed, However, only 10,528 of the applicants have been classified in Band 1. That is the most needy. Those are the ones that receive the highest amount of government support. Only 10,528. Band 2 has 11,393 students. Band 3 has 20,889 students. And over half of the students have been placed in either Band 4 or Band 5. That's where they're paying higher amounts. Another 7,194 students are self-sponsored and they only qualify for the upkeep loan and they don't get a scholarship. So if you're self-sponsored, you only get HELB loan. You don't get scholarship. You pay the rest from your pocket. Okay? Now, majority of these students, therefore, are categorized in either least needy or averagely needy. Okay? 113,000 applicants. Now, many of them are complaining and saying, I have been placed in the wrong category. We hosted the CEO of the Universities Fund here a couple of days ago.
We did.
Last week but one.
Yes, it was last week but one.
And he was explaining how they do this. They ask you for all this information. They ask you, when you're filling out the information, give us your parents' ID, your parents' PIN number, give us your ID, tell us your parents are from both parents. Then they counter-check. They counter-check with information from KRA. They counter-check with information from NHIF, NSSF. So they see if this ID is contributing money to NHIF, how much? And from there, from the amount that's coming into NHIF, they can tell that means that this person is salaried and they're salaried to this amount. And then they check with KRA. Is this person paying payee? If this ID and PIN are paying payee and this is how much they're paying, then they can tell that this is how much this person is earning. So they can tell this whether you're able or not. And they're using other data as well. How was your secondary education and all? But we cast the question here to Bwana Munari. Many people are in the informal employment sector. So you will not be able to match their information with KRA in terms of personal income. You'll not be able to match their information with NHIF or NSSF in terms of personal income. How are you going to be able then to properly categorize this? And he said, this means testing system, we've used it with HELB for very many years. That's how HELB knows how much we are allocating per student when they're applying for loans.
That is what they say. But remember, with every passing year, the number of people who actually apply for assistance increases. Now, we do not know whether the increase in funding to help is commensurate with the needs that arise. That's number one. But there's something significant that has happened in the country in the last few years. People have actually gotten poorer. Okay, so the ability of people to earn money hasn't gone up. It has gone down for very, very many people. So something that someone could have afforded maybe 4 or 5 years ago, right now, they cannot. Now, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics gives gives details of those who are called indigent in the country, people who earn and live on less than 6,000 shillings a month. We know these. But the census report that we have, that is where we were fully categorized and we know. But in that time, remember, a census is done every 10 years. Now, in that time, what has happened to all these other individuals who are now in the country and who need the same help? And then we're talking about a background where the needy have increased. How then can you say that this particular method will still work with the same efficacy that has worked in the past?
That's the thing. The last census was conducted in 2019.
Yes.
2020 COVID.
Yes. 7 years ago.
2020 COVID happened. So even those that may have, appeared in a certain income bracket in 2019, many of them may have fallen off.
Yes.
All right. KNBS conducts regular surveys as well, just to find out income and economic situation.
Yes.
But that is just one way.
It is just one way.
There are very many other ways in which you can actually tell. So if, for example, this student, not if, for example, it's definite that a child who's applying to go to university has spent the last 16 years in secondary and primary school.
Yes.
They come from a certain community.
Yes.
The school is government.
Yes.
Even when it's not government, it's private, it has records.
It has records.
You can basically just see how was this child's fee payment record.
Actually, without even asking, the fee paying record would give you a very clear indication of the ability of the parents. Yes.
You can see this is how it was.
Yes.
So yes, those that have come from high cost private schools, you can see high cost private school. However you were paying, there was a high cost private school and there was a certain level
and
of
there's a clear indication. And the very thing you say will even be captured in private schools, because
Yes.
you will know students who are paying with difficulty. You will know those who are paying with ease. All this is clear. But even more importantly, as you were saying, I was thinking, every school head, primary or secondary, know the students who are given assistance to help with their learning.
Yes.
And the bulk of our schools are village schools. When I say village, they're within a locality where the locals are known.
Yes.
So the information that we're talking about here is actually known.
It's information that can be gathered.
Yes.
Basically, this model the challenge here is for the universities fund to rejig its model. Because clearly, this model is not working. That's the bottom line. What you've been working on, Bwana Monari, is not working. You need to rejig this model. You need to look at other ways of finding out a child's proper need. Those that fall in category 1, band 1 would be orphans. Band 1 would be people who come from completely needy backgrounds. So you can clearly see this family will not be able to raise. That's why we're saying you'll only end up paying like 5,000 bob. And this 5,000 shillings coming from the help amount that you get, it's possible that you even get some of the help money to pay this out of pocket. That we are saying that help will help you pay your own fees, because we know your parents cannot, your guardians cannot. Where you're coming from, you cannot afford.
You know the stories
and you go rising up.
The stories that we see represented here, I was counting them. There are 9 stories of individuals in this story. People who have suffered the same fate. They have been called to university and they're elated. And then they are now downcast because they are not going to be able to go to university simply because of this categorization. They cannot afford. The categorization has made them ineligible for the support that they so much needed.
Yeah.
Now, one could argue that perhaps even with this story, there are those who are categorized correctly. Unfortunately, in such a matter, let's look for something remedial. Okay, if mistakes are made, then those whose duty it is to ensure that this thing works properly, what are you doing about it? Because you've put it out into the open, people have interacted with it, you're now getting feedback. You're being told this categorization doesn't quite work the way you said. When will you think you have a sufficient body of evidence that would make you look at this model again and look at the way you're going about it again?
It's about time.
Yes.
I mean, it's just about time. We have all these other scholarships that are able to identify need.
Yes.
The private sector scholarships.
They do.
They're able to identify need and they support
And there are many
children who are needy and they go to school. You will hardly hear of a private scholarship actually benefiting somebody who's not needed in society.
No, you won't, because they have a very stringent method of ensuring that child who is categorized as needy is actually genuinely needy.
Yep.
You see, these things we're discussing, they go through these hoops to the point where it is ascertained beyond a shadow of a doubt that this individual needs the help. Yes. You know the thing about learning and the thing about education, there's something we never quite talk about, but there's always the underlying dishonesty that Kenyans have. Because even with university, there are parents, there are guardians, there are individuals who lie about their financial status.
Yep.
Because there is this underlying thinking that if it is government, everybody should have access to it. And if it means lying,
you better lie.
Yeah, you know what struck me?
Yeah.
I was looking at an article today in the sports where we as Kenyans are likely to be penalized because we've been fiddling with the ages of our participants in sports. What normally happens is older people are made younger so that they can fit in. Now, when that is discovered, but we're not the only country, just so that we know, but since this is our country, let's refer to our country. If the mindset that we are dealing with is one where people are not willing to be honest in things that count, or they're going to argue that if it involves getting their children a leg up, they will do everything involving cheating, then this particular system is going to face a challenge where instead of people honestly applying the truth as they know it, they'll be busy trying to beat the system.
Mm-hmm.
And those who are disadvantaged to begin with will continue being disadvantaged.
That's true. According to data, 113,105 students applied for funding through the university's fund. That's for scholarships. 10,528 were categorized as Band 1. That's the most needy. They received the highest government support. Band 2 has 11,393. Band 3 has 20,889. Over half of the students have been placed in Band 4, that's 37,764, and Band 5, 26,137. Now, over half of these students have been categorized as less needy and least needy in terms of, if you just look at it in nomenclature. That means over half of these 113,000 applicants have been categorized to be coming from households that have over 100,000 shillings per month as income. How many people earn over 100,000 shillings in this country? It is not over 50,000, and all 50,000 have first years applying for university. It's definitely not, right?
Yes.
Even if we were using KRA data, you'd be able to see that no. How many people actually pay their payee coming from that category of 100,000 shillings earners per month? How many? Not so many. You cannot then say that over 50%, over 50,000 of the applicants in this year who are applying to go to university and applying for scholarship have been categorized as people who are in that income category, in that income bracket. So what else is being used here? And that's what many of these students are complaining about. You're talking about a 19-year-old Gabriel Junior Wamalwa who's been admitted to Kisii University for a Bachelor of Education Arts degree. His father told the nation that his monthly earnings are slightly above 20,000, but his son has been placed at Band 4. He said that he has a daughter at the Kenya Medical Training College, a son in Form 1, and another in junior school. In Band 4, I will pay 42,000 shillings per semester for this student in university.
If you look at data that was presented by TIFA in 2023, only 3% of Kenyans earned more than 50,000 shillings.
That's you go.
Okay.
There you go.
So, if those are the figures that we're talking about, where on earth do you think that parents who we can see 3%?
Yep. Joshua Kemei from Chepkoyo village in Cherangani has been admitted to Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology to pursue a bachelor's degree in geomatic engineering and geospatial information systems. His parents do odd jobs in the village to earn a living. He has been placed in Band 2. I'm confused. I'm trying to raise money for a suitcase and shoes for my journey to Nairobi. My parents are very poor at home. We have only 1 meal a day. That's what Kemei said during an interview. Shadrach Kisheunet from Muono in West Pokot County is supposed to join Bomet University College this week. He's been placed in Band 4. He has 60,000 shillings fee arrears at his former secondary school. But he has been placed in Band 4. I was unable to pay the fees, but my principal excused me and allowed me to pay later. The band that he's been placed in requires him to pay in excess of 40,000 shillings per semester. Emmanuel Omongolok from Namanjala, Kwanza sub-county in Trans Nzoia County, told the nation that he's been placed in Band 2 despite his parents being casual laborers. He's expected to join Moi University on August 26th to undertake a Bachelor of Education Arts degree. Veronica Cheryl has been admitted to Rongo University to pursue a Bachelor of Education course, and she was hoping to receive government funding to relieve her mother of the financial burden. She has found the going tough. There are very many of these cases. Now, of course, the university's fund, and we're told this by the CEO Monari, opens the portal for reapplication. So you say, okay, you can appeal. If you feel that you've been categorized in the wrong band, appeal. Sometimes also, the information that the students have supplied is also what is ending them in the category that they find themselves in.
Yes.
So there's a lot, and we have to say that this is highly possible. That because this is a new system, you're being told you need to apply online, go online. Many, and we're told by Monari, many are going to a cyber, and they're finding this one guy at the cyber. This one guy at the cyber just knows.
He has a template.
So his ID, letter ID yako, put ID. All the other information, it's the same information that he's filling for every applicant. Because hana time.
He doesn't give it thought.
He's
you want the form filled?
Yeah,
he has filled
I'm
it.
filling it for you, the form. So as it goes to the university's fund, they're looking at what information you have given. And the information that you've given then places you in a certain band. So there's an element here of lack of information.
Or lack of knowledge, for that matter.
Lack of knowledge.
Yes.
There's also this other element of the means testing instrument actually not being good enough to actually tell the means from where this, the student, the applicant is coming from. So there are all these matters that are. The bottom line is, you're supposed to report to university. This is where you've been categorized. The university expects you to pay this much, or else you drop out even before you start.
You know, brings us back to what the president was saying. So I take it what the president was saying, look, this matter clearly lacks clarification.
Yep.
Those of you involved, clarify it, please. Make it simpler for parents to understand. Because from everything I hear, the president must have heard those complaints as well. So my friend, this thing not working. He says, but I thought that's why we had that working group, to ensure it works. Why then is it not working? So guys, working group, please go over your notes again and find a way of simplifying this information so that it works. You know, it's all about systems. It's truly all about systems. At a time when there was just one university in this country, and jobs came up begging, and people could choose to go to university, not go to university, get a job, not get a job, that sort of thing. And then they had a system where the government actually gave everybody a scholarship. Everybody. See, that was never going to be tenable. It had to come to an end.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is there was time to plan for it because you could see the population.
You knew.
Yes, we did. And as the universities expanded, and we don't have a university that is empty. There's no university in this country which is empty. Okay? We knew that need was going to arise. What is it that happens in the ministry that deals with the planning and looking into our future and determining what is that needs to be done? What is it about the Ministry of Education, who have all manner of departments and offshoots that deal with such matters to ensure that all these needs that are in the future are thought of, categorized and taken care of, so that when they actually arrive, you have a plan for them. So that it's not when it happens, then you suddenly have either a working group or you have whatever it is that we call these fact-finding groups that go to figure out what is already known, whatever it is. The point is, if that amount of time is taken and we still have the problems that we're hearing, what then do we say went wrong? Because something did go wrong.
Something is not working somewhere.
No, it's not.
Yeah, something is not. There was clearly dropping of the ball in very many places.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So first, we are where we are. Yes, the government is broke. It doesn't have money.
Now
it cannot afford to actually do the proper amount of money that was paying previously for university students.
It can't.
Okay? And that also leads to what we've been seeing happening in terms of results. Because on the other hand, you cannot tell me that every year, the only percentage that qualifies to get into that university entry is less than 20%. At most 22% every year. Out of 1 million students who sit their KCSE, less than 200,000 get the grade for university education.
Less than a fifth.
Yeah. There's something there. The last KCSE had over 50,000, was it 40,000 E's?
Yes.
Right? Was it 40,000? Yeah.
Yes.
Some bizarre figure of E's. And what does that tell us about that education system?
Wait, yes.
And then we've been seeing all these, even at 180,000. Let's just say 200,000 people will be needing to go into university and some TVETs every year. University and TVETs every year. We have not been ready for it. Now we are caught up with this situation where we're saying, okay, so let's remodel how we are financing it. I heard some university lecturers actually arguing and saying this thing will not work. The same university, the same government that was not able to send money to the universities for the other funding model. What was it called? Differentiated unit costs. If the same government was not able to send money for differentiated unit costs, it was actually sending less than half of what it was supposed to be sending. How sure are we that this same government can still find money to fund these scholarships?
You know, Eric, you actually got to the heart of the matter. Everything we're discussing.
Let's take Evans first, and then we'll get to the heart of the matter.
Yes.
Evans in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, Eric.
Karibu sana.
And Asante, I wish to say a few things about the funding model.
Please go ahead.
My input is that one, the entire task force report, the recommendation targeting on university education, was to protect the government from its inability to provide education. Why do I say so? Because looking at the economic situation currently in the country, it's very difficult for anyone to ascertain that whatever I was paying through KRA is what I'm earning currently. There are people who have already subjected their salaries to loans, and when I subject my salary to a loan, the KRA deduction is not effected as per the net pay I do receive. Thereby, if you follow records from KRA, then you're not going to be clear and be able to help that particular child. Secondly, even the citizens, they don't provide sufficient information and clear and correct information for the government to be able to ascertain the correct way of funding university education. It's a situation that is sad as a nation, but you've talked of private funding. The kind of funding from KCB, Equity brings to fund, the kind of process they do, it's a very, very clear process that at the end of the day provides quality education and provides sufficient information for the bank to be able to sponsor needy students. So as for me, what I feel is it's important that the government relook at the funding model before we abandon very bright Kenyans who have worked so hard to go to the university in the name of a model that is not working. And I'm so certain that, again, those who have gotten even in the level of band 1 that are so needy, there are few from this group, or there are quite a number of them, who have provided information that is not correct.
Yeah.
That is my input, Eric.
Thank you very much, Evans, and thank you for your call this morning. 0719 012 There's an issue about the university funding model and, the means testing instrument that's being deployed by the university's fund. Many are complaining that it's not working. We'd like to hear from you. Dennis in Nairobi, hello.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Very fine, thanks.
Yes, let us make education free in Kenya.
How so?
Let us collapse all these things called bursaries, scholarships, whether from public or private sources, and channel all these funds to education. Why should we have a bursary for the MCA, another one for the women rep, another one for CGMP, governor, the president's scholar? Let us channel all these funds to education and spare our kids from this begging scenario. It is very shameful for our country. And just before I leave, you see, let me just advise Kenyans. We can only do this at the ballot. Let them elect the right people in office. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because William Ruto, I was reading his education manifesto. He's doing exactly what he told Kenyans. And Kenyans voted for him. So when they're crying, it is their mistake. So in 2027, let us vote for the right one, the right candidate with the right education manifesto.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you very much. Zachary in Kakamega, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Very fine, thanks.
Yes, I'm also fine. This morning, I'm really not delighted with this funding model. Some of us were educated through university, through HELB, and it was better than. I foresee a scenario where many students will not join university despite qualifying for it, while the agencies that are responsible keep throwing figures at us, telling us 80,000 have applied without ID. But for ground, totally different. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Zachary. Yeah, there's many issues that are emerging here. You're saying it brings us to the heart of the matter.
Money. There hasn't been sufficient money to meet the needs of the universities, public universities as they're currently constituted, with the number of enrolled students as currently constituted. We then come up with a new model which scuttles everything. Scuttles in that it's new, so people are in the process of trying to get used to it and to understand it. Those who are in that particular sector, they are not only rumbles, but they are definitive industrial communications that they keep passing along with regards to whether they're going to go to work or not, and it's all about money. They're not getting paid on time, and they don't feel that the government is doing good by them. Now, these rumblings interfere with the learning process. And yet you have a whole bunch of new students who are supposed to report, their parents who are supposed to take the children, and there's this lack of clarity. Are we saying that this absence of clarity could not have been sorted out long before the date when the admission of new students was nearing? Are we saying that matters that pertain to the pending bills and the pending salaries that certain people who work in public universities have could not have been sorted out? Now, if we say we don't have money, then with everything that we are saying, I have to ask the question, what did we need this new funding model for? What is this thing that it was going to do that the other one couldn't do? What it's
doing is that it's proper cost sharing, okay, in another name. What it's saying is that a majority of you shall now pay out of pocket. So it's clear that you shall pay out of pocket, and that the government then shall pay less. And that's why you'll find that mostly probably is why this categorization works this way, that over 50% of the applicants are told you pay more. The government supports you less. So it's basically just introduced cost sharing and said, okay, so university, this thing of saying that all of you, the government shall pay up to this level. Okay.
It's a journey, and even as we say that the system has hiccups, it must have hiccups. But hiccups in a system is part of the learning process. The hiccups occur, as you address them, you are right-sizing the hiccup so that it actually becomes something that is workable. My question, when it works, will there be money for it? This is really the point. Even the money that has gone through the sieve, and we've categorized parents who are going to pay, are we going to have enough money for the learning to take place in our universities? Because for the number of years now, we've had a problem.
Bottom line, what you're asking is, even if we just took what has basically been categorized now,
yes,
is all this money going to be available to the universities on time?
Yes.
Is all the money that's supposed to be coming from the exchequer going to the universities?
Yes.
On time?
Yes.
Because if it doesn't, then you're still leaving the universities to struggle.
In a serious limbo, and at the heart of it is the learning process. You see, this really is the bane of our existence when it comes to whether it's secondary school education, primary school education. When we talk about monies that are supposed to go to schools, and there are pending bills there, it doesn't get worse than this. It means whatever it is the students were supposed to receive as their right to ensure that their learning is at an optimum is not there. So now we are carrying this over to the universities. This, in my mind, is a massive problem.
Some of the comments that are coming in, Frederick Courier says it's saddling all kids with the crippling debt and a clear abdication of government responsibility to educate Kenyans. Someone else is saying that no, 600 billion shillings is actually more than enough to finance education, from basic education going all the way to higher education. 600 billion shillings every year in a budget. Surely, ni pesa mingi sana. Kennedy Mungai is correcting Dennis, who was Evans, who was our first caller, who was talking about, the relationship between your pay, your debt, or your loan obligations, and the amount of money that you pay to carry. No, it's on your gross. The only thing that you do not get, that you get, credit for, maybe mortgage or insurance, life insurances. There are very many comments that are coming in here. Same time, parents who are not able but promptly pay the fees in time is because they don't want their children education disrupted. So there are many who are struggling to make sure that their children are in school. Manilal Gohil says, real free education, compulsory university program for all. Unless the youth are skilled and educated, there cannot be any development. Uniforms and books and one meal should be absolutely free.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.